Hi y'all! I have so much to catch you up on. I had to make a memory list on my fingers. So, the first thing to tell you is that my sewing machine is still out of commission for right now. And that's not a really big inconvenience because I have projects that I want to sew, but no projects that I really have to sew. My friend is coming over sometime this week or next to take a look at it and see if he can help me diagnose what's wrong with it. And since there's no machine sewing to do, I've been doing hand sewing. I've been working on the first the first ghost thread painting portrait I did of Uncle Diesel. It's got a shadow on it. Hold on. There we go. I got kind of tired of putting in shadows, and I started adding branches and leaves to the mesquite tree, and that's how that's coming along. I also have the other picture I've been doing of Uncle Diesel for my dream, but I don't have it right here with me. When I get very tired of sitting still and stitching, I can sit very still and look at the computer screen and click on things with my mouse. Because I'm still working on MTurk. Last week was bad. This week, I've just started out. I'm really determined to get my goal, and I think I can make it. But whether I make it or not, I'm gonna do it. And when I get tired of sitting very still and looking at the computer, I have some new reading material. Did you notice that? I don't guess you noticed these in the bright brown. I found these, here we go. I found these with a little help from my friends. No, that's not today's earworm. That night the owls kept us up half the night. The next day I went outside and I walked down to the motte and I looked up into the trees and I said, "Okay, owls, here I am. What is it you're trying to tell me?" And I put my hands on my hips, waiting for nothing to happen. And instead, one of the barred owls flew up out of the trees and headed south. I could not have been more shocked if one of the owls had landed on my head and started speaking Shakespeare. So the owl took off to the south and landed in a tree. I walked south to follow her. And since I do not walk as fast as an owl can fly, I caught up with her eventually, and when she thought I was too close or close enough, she took off and flew a little farther south. So I kept on walking. Before we got to the cattle guard, and while the trees were still real close to the road, she sat in a tree and I caught all the way up with her. And when I caught up with her, she hooted at me like, "Here it is." And I'm like, okay, cool. And I looked around and I saw trees and I saw underbrush and I saw yupon and I saw post oaks. I don't know what it was she wanted me to look at. She hooted at me. So I started looking around, looking on the ground, looking up at the branches. And I said, "I don't know what you want." And as soon as I started to walk away, she hooted again. So I went back and I started looking more closely. What else do you do when an owl says, "Hey, keep looking, dummy"? I couldn't find anything, but eventually I found a piece of petrified wood on the ground, and petrified wood is cool. So I bent over to pick it up, and I saw a bit of paper sticking out. And I brushed the stuff off, leaves and dirt, and it's not like it was even buried. It's like he set it down, covered it up with some dirt, and walked away. Yeah. And so I picked the bundle up and I brought it back home. And when I took off the paper and the string, I found these composition books right here on the front page. Uncle Diesel's signature. Yeah, I know. So, I guess he just wanted someone to find his journals. He wanted to be remembered. He wanted to be known. So later this week I'll be showing y'all stuff, reading from it. And if I ever get bored with my reading material, there's always an interesting earworm, isn't there? Yes. So the earworm of the day is by ABBA, and it's called The Name of the Game. It's one of their slower, like, non-disco, sad relationship songs. Sorry, that's the one that's stuck in my head, y'all. I don't get to pick them. Talk to you tomorrow. Hi, y'all. Happy Tuesday. I gotta start off by saying I am so glad I found Uncle Diesel's journals. When I'm reading them, even though I've never heard his voice, I can hear this rough old man's deep voice talking to me. It's like I can hear him talking and telling his stories. I'm so glad I found these. They're not really journals, like they're not a day-by-day diary thing. It's like they're his writings, like he was trying to be a writer. There's some really funny stuff in there, and there's some really honest stuff that makes me kind of uncomfortable when I'm reading them. So as soon as I can find some family-friendly fare, I will read it to you. Ever since I found the journals and brought them home, the owls outside have been much calmer. We still hear them, but they're not keeping us up at night. We still hear them, but they're quieter, they're farther away. We still hear them, but maybe they'll finally make up their mind that they've done their job and they can go ahead and fly off. This is the thread painting that I showed y'all last week of Uncle Diesel's ghost. Not that ghosts are real. They only show up in my dreams and not in real life. There's his head and his hat. He's bending over doing something on the ground, and I had no idea what he was doing when I had that dream. He's kind of kneeling, kind of squatting, taking care of something, and I realize now that in my dream I had seen him when he had just buried the journals. So I'm adding the trees on the side and one behind him, and I think it's going pretty well. I like all of the little loops that the thread is made. I hope that makes him look more foggy and ghostly. I'm still getting on MTurk every day. I'm doing better this week than I was last week. But I have added my PayPal me in the description. I can't get monetized yet. And I think because we live way out in the country, I'm not even sure if we're eligible to be monetized. So I put my PayPal me down in the description. If you just want to help me out so that I can spend more time making videos and less time working on MTurk, I'd love it. No obligation and no pressure. And the last thing I need to tell you about is the earworm of the day. The earworm of the day is the second movement of the Ninth Symphony by Antonin Dvorak. D-V-O-R-A-K. Yeah, it's Czech. I don't get it either. But the second movement of his Ninth Symphony is a beautiful, beautiful melody. I hope you go and listen to it. The Ninth Symphony he wrote while he was visiting the United States, and he called it the New World Symphony. I hope you go and listen to it and enjoy it.